Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, as you know, this lecture series is in respect of the course MBF707, Monetary and Fiscal Framework in Islamic Finance. This lecture series is on behalf of the ComSat's Institute of Information Technology, Virtual Campus, Islamabad. Students, today our focus will be, the focus of discussion will be around Salam and Istisna. These are two very important modes of finance, although they are originally the trade or transactions or sale, but again develop into the mode of finance by the financial institutions nowadays. Before I discuss in detail the Salam and Istisna, let us review what we have done so far in the last lecture. Our last lecture was focused on Ijara. In Ijara, we discussed what is Ijara. Ijara in Urdu, Ujrat, or it is Ijara from Arabic word. It is an arrangement wherein an asset is rented, and an asset is rented or the services of a person or worker are hired for a specialized purpose, and in return for these services reward is paid, and this reward is known as Ujra. Now this Ujra in Islamic finance, it is used in wider perspective. We discuss in detail, it can be applicable even in case of almost all the factors of production in economic perspective. Then we discuss how and where and what are the conditions, what are the limitations, and where Ijara can be used to the maximum extent, and what are the avenues where the Ijara has got limited application. The topics of today's discussion in respect of Salam and Istisna include introduction of these two terms. We'll go one by one. First Salam and then Istisna. Some basic conditions of Salam, and then Salam as a mode of financing, some basic rules and practical implications. So the sequence of presentation is, first of all we'll discuss Salam and then Istisna. Well, in pursuit of this sequence, the first topic, Salam. Salam is a sale whereby seller undertakes to supply some specific goods to the buyer at a future time in exchange for an advance price which is fully paid at the spot. Salam is one of the oldest bayu. It existed even before Islam, and it is one of the bayu, one of the trades which were permitted by the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and it continued. And today its significance is increasing day by day, particularly in the agricultural development and agriculture credit policy of Pakistan, Muslim world. Why so? Why so? Because most of the Islamic countries are agro-based. They are not so advanced. That is why. And then for the agriculturalists, there are financial constraints. And in order to resolve these financial constraints, Salam can be one of the ways out. Salam can provide a solution. We will discuss how. We will discuss the possibility of using salam as a future trade agreement in the economic development. In salam arrangement, the buyer is called Rabbu Salam, the seller is Muslim Ilai, and the cash price is known as Rasul Mal. The purchase commodity is termed as Muslim fee. Now, after the description, after the definition, it is, let's go into the detail of its very brief background. Salam was the option available for the agriculture products before Islam, and even in the start of its permission, its continuity after Islam, it continued to be used in the agriculture product sale. And even today, so we will also discuss its applicability in the agriculture development process with respect to Pakistan as well. Pakistan being agro-based economy, after the independence, Pakistan's agriculture sector contributed around 70 to 80% of the GDP from different avenues, from different perspectives. Even the Pakistani exports also included most of the agro-based products. So salam can be very useful and very important source of funding or facility of transaction for the agricultural development of Pakistan. We will discuss later on. Conditions of salam. There are certain conditions of completing salam. We will discuss 6 conditions. I have listed 6 conditions which should be fulfilled for the compliance of salam in accordance with the principles of Islam or Islamic fiqh or Islamic finance. Number 1, full price should be paid to the seller at the time of effecting the sale. As I mentioned earlier, salam is the transaction wherein the product is to be delivered later on, but the price is paid fully at the spot. Suppose I want to buy a motorbike, then there are vendors, there are manufacturers, and sometimes these manufacturers, vendors advertise in the newspaper or the media, and they invite for the collection of money in terms of price of the products which they are going to launch in the market, which they are going to manufacture in the future time. They start manufacturing now, and certain time is given, and on the maturity of the time the product is manufactured and completely product with entire specification is handed over to the potential customers who have already paid the price. Full price is to be paid. Now this is precondition. In case of salam, the price cannot be paid in installment. The price cannot be paid half or in parts. So this is one of the conditions that should be paid completely on the spot. Now, whether the price which is paid in advance and the product which is to be delivered in the future, whether the price which is paid on the spot is different from the price which could be paid in the future when the product is ready and the client enters the market, pays the price and buys it. So there are two prices. Definitely there will be price differential. The price which is paid on the spot and the product is delivered in future, and the price which can be paid at the time of the product delivery or at the time of actual purchasing of the product in future. Obviously, this is a facility, financial facility, a great facility to the manufacturer. He receives price now, and this amount of money he can use in order to resolve his financial constraints, in order to resolve his financial flows, and these financial flows can be facilitated if the prices are paid in advance, if the money is paid in advance. Now, when money is paid in advance, obviously the manufacturer is receiving or availing this facility, and the price naturally is low as compared to the price which we pay generally while we go to the market and purchase the product on the spot. Number 2, the second condition: quality and quantity of the commodities should be specified exactly. Does not apply to the commodity supply of which is uncertain. If a product is quite uncertain, we as a seller, if a seller is uncertain about the supply of the product in future and he has doubts, but he expects that the product would be available in the future and he completes the transaction now, this is not allowed according to the principles of Islamic finance, because if uncertainty is involved, and this great uncertainty may create untoward situation between the two parties, the buyer and the seller. That is why, as I mentioned repeatedly in my previous lectures, Islam does not like issues. Islam tries to resolve issues. Islam does not deal, Islamic financial principles are not based on uncertainty. Yes, uncertainty to the extent wherein the time, the exact time is uncertain, but the bracket of the time, the range of the time is given, and the range of time is known within which the product can be made available after the manufacturing. So if the certainty of production within the time bracket can be made sure, then this uncertainty remains under control and the product can be transacted under solemn arrangement. Now, when we say quality and the quantity of the commodities should be specified, these are the conditions even in conventional financial system. If the quality, if the specifications are not clearly known to either seller or most of the time the buyer, the transaction is in limbo, and this may create dispute when the product is made available. So if the product is made available in future and the specification, the qualities which were agreed upon at the time of payment of money in advance, then this disparity of the quality or disparity in terms of specification create trouble, and this not only spoils and tarnish the image of the seller, but it also creates unrest in the economic transactions. So that is why in Islamic principles of finance, quality of the product, specification of the product, they must be known beforehand at the time when price is paid to the potential seller, and there should not be any uncertainty in terms of quality or the specification. Now, generally what happens, why these disparities exist? the disparity between the specification and the qualities which were written, which were explained before the product was manufactured or before the product was delivered, and the specification and the qualities, the actual specification and the quality of the product at the time of delivery. Why this situation arise? This situation may arise when the seller or the manufacturer or the person who is signing the salam agreement, salam contract, is inexperienced, or when he is dependent on the other party, the third party, for the manufacturing of the product, which is again not very much reliable as to the specification and the quality of the product. They can be the vendor or the manufacturer or the supplier who themselves are not clear as to the specification and the quality of the product. When and where does this happen? Generally this happens when you book a car and you make the payment, the booking at the spot, and the vendor in his agreement mentions color specification up to the satisfaction of the consumer and the buyer who makes payment on the spot. But in his mind, from his past experience, he learns that the Pakistani people generally accept whatever they are supplied, or the consumers of the region accept whatever specs or color of the product or cars is supplied. If is thinking like this, then intentionally he would arrange whatever is available with the manufacturer, whatever is available somewhere in the stocks or in the inventories. He will take it out and offer it after 6 months or so, whatever the period of maturity has been signed, to the customer. And when customer looks at the product, its color, its specification, there might be some disparity, but this is unjustified. This is unjustified. I've seen many of my friends who booked their cars with certain color, but when they were handed over the car after 6 months, or even sometime, in some cases after 1 year, when the car was handed over, it was a different color. It was the color different from the agreed one. So this is a deception. This is not allowed. Well, students, coming to another condition, quantity of the commodity is agreed upon in unequivocal terms. The specification, quantity and the quality, everything, not only the quality but also the quantity of the product should also be clearly mentioned on clear terms and conditions. This may include the packing, the size, the weight, or the substance, or any other thing which I am forgetting in terms of commodity terms, in terms of commodity specs, specifications. All these things should be clearly mentioned. And I always say the Islamic principles of finance emphasize the most on the documentation. If all these weight, substance, size are clearly mentioned, recorded, and they are documented properly, there will be no issue of dispute, there will be no dispute. But it is up to the seller that he should fulfill his promise to supply the product with the same quantity, size and specification. And if he deviates from the specs which were specified, if he is providing the commodity with different size and with different specs, these are unacceptable to the customer. Not only these are unacceptable to the customer, but Islamic principles also do not justify it. Moving on to the other conditions associated with the salam, the exact date and place of delivery must be specified in the contract. When, where and how the commodity will be delivered, whether the commodity is to be delivered in the 6 months period. Now 6 months period is not sufficient to mention in the documentation. It should be clearly mentioned what date from now, from the date of contract, the commodity will be made available, and at what place the commodity will be made available, whether the customer will have to visit the place of seller or the commodity will be delivered as at the customer's residence or the place specified by the customer. So this must be clear, because why this is necessary? Why time? And then we will discuss why place. Why time is important? It is possible, quite possible, that the customer who has paid the price in advance has associated with it, with the product, some of his business activities, some of his other activities which may involve certain cost. If the product is delayed, if the product does not reach him on time specified in the agreement, he won't be able to complete his job, his activities, his promises, because he also promises other parties, not regarding the sale or purchase of the same product, but some activities which might be associated with the product. For example, in case of say a carrier or truck or trawler which he has booked, and he has promised some other party to deliver the different products which he can, for example, his business is transportation, goods transport. So obviously the goods and the other luggage cannot be transported if he does not receive this truck or carrier or whatever car or anything which he has booked for the purpose of transportation of the goods. So his work will suffer. Obviously some penalty is also associated with it, and some resolutions are also suggested of this issue. Now why the place? Why the place should be clearly mentioned? Place, some cost is involved. Some type of cost is involved. That is why the place should be clearly mentioned. The place of handing over the product should be mentioned clearly in the document. For example, if the person booked his durable products, it may be washing machine, it may be a refrigerator, it may be air conditioners, maybe a car, maybe something else, or say a photocopier machine, some durable items. So he booked these products or one of these products in Islamabad, but he wants to get these products delivered at some other place, maybe in Rawalpindi or some far-flung area, maybe in Lahore. Obviously, if he clearly mentions, if it is mentioned in the agreement that the product will be although the agreement was made in Islamabad, but the product would be delivered in Lahore, then the seller would also include the transportation cost of such products, because Lahore and Islamabad, these are two different cities, and certain distance is to be covered. Obviously, some transport has to be arranged in order to deliver the product in its safe form. So, if the products delivery of the place of delivery of the product is not clearly mentioned, since part of the cost or transportation cost remains ambiguous, so the dispute may arise any time when the product is delivered. One of the two parties may not be satisfied with the attitude of the other party, and this may cause a dispute. Therefore, in order to avoid these issues, these disputes, it is essential that not only the time of delivery of the product is made clear, but also the place of delivery of the product should also be made clear. Number 6, salam cannot be effected in respect of things which must be delivered at the spot. For example, gold purchase in exchange for silver. Definitely. For example, what does that mean? For example, if there are two parties, A and B, A wants to sell gold and B wants to sell silver, but one party wants to hand over gold on the spot and the other party promises to deliver the silver in future. Now, since these are the quite marketable product whose prices are very dynamically fluctuative and their prices are very volatile. For example, gold and silver, the prices of these items change on not only daily basis, but their prices also change on hourly basis. So this will create an ambiguity. So if these products, if the products are exchanged, the salam contract cannot be signed. Similarly, same is the case with the exchange of currencies. If a person is buying dollars now and he promised to make the payment to deliver the, if a person buys dollars and he makes a payment in terms of pound sterling now, but the seller of the dollar promised to sell, to make available dollars in future time, in some future time. Again, prices of both the currencies are quite volatile, fluctuative, uncertainty is involved. So therefore, the salam contract in such type of products is not allowed. Rather, the spot exchange, sale and purchase or transaction of the product should be done in this perspective. Now we move on to the topic, the part of the topic, how salam is used as a mode of financing. Dear students, we are following the same pattern in couple of lectures as I have been following before. Now, how we also discussed ijara and muraba, which were basically the sale contracts or the sale agreements, and then we discussed how they were transferred to the mode of finance. We are following the same pattern here as well. Salam as a mode of financing. It is basically a mode of financing for small farmers and the traders. As I mentioned in the start, in the beginning of this lecture I mentioned the history of Salam is that it is associated with the agriculture related activities. Now, in trading agreements and in farmers and traders, small farmers and traders, how it was practiced, people used to get loans basically. Before Islam, people used to get loans for the cultivation of their crops. They were in need of finances in order to buy inputs, in order to buy fertilizer, though the fertilizers were not in very sophisticated form then, but the fertilizers were in use even long ago, even hundreds of years before. But the type of fertilizer was different, so the inputs of agriculture crop included fertilizer, water, seed, etc. Now, in order to buy these inputs, the farmers were in need of money. So what happened? They used to contact money lenders, and money lenders who provided money, they had least concern with the production level. They used to give money, and then they used to receive money after some time when the crop was ready and the crop was sold by the farmers and the loan was paid back. Now, as a solution to this option, as a solution to this payment of interest on the advance money or the loan money, Salam was introduced. Now, what happened? The farmers were given amount of money, and then farmers promised to deliver the product in the future. The concept of financial institutions dealing in money is foreign to Islamic Sharia. This was actually imported to Islamic Sharia. If these institutions want to earn halal profit, they shall have to deal in the commodities in one way or the other, because no profit is allowed in Sharia on advancing loans only. Now, Sharia basically disallowed advancing money just for the purpose of loan and earning interest. This is a new function of financial institutions which is being introduced with the practicing of Salam contract. So financial institutions just cannot continue giving money, receiving money, charging interest, paying interest. They have to have some more trading functions in accordance with the Islamic principles of finance. And why? Because the profit earned in terms of interest is totally disallowed in the Islamic financial system, and the profit associated with the sale and purchase of commodities is definitely permitted, and it has definitely some growing perspective as well. That is why in terms of Salam, how in terms of Salam this can be used. In general, financial institutions can make the payment to the farmers for the purpose of in purchasing of inputs, raw material, some machinery if required, for example the tractor and the thresher at the time of the harvesting. So for these purposes, the farmers are in need of money. Financial institutions, instead of playing the role of lender, they can make money in advance for the purchase of the future output which is to be produced. Now, these future products, the products which will be produced future, they can be provided, they can be the output can be delivered to the financial institution in the future time. So then this future trade agreement for which the payment is made in advance by the financial institutions, there will be a lot of satisfaction up to the farmers as well. They will work diligently, they will try to grow more crops for different reasons. One of the reasons is they will work diligently not only to deliver the agreed quantity of the product produced in their agriculture, but they would also like to produce more than that, so that they can earn money or they can sell the surplus amount to some other party, some other buyers from them, and earn more profit. So, and then they would know that whatever money they have received in terms of cash payment or price of the product, it is their own money. They don't need to pay it back as they had been paying loans which they borrow, the amount of money which they borrow from the Agricultural Development Bank or the financial institutions. Now here I would go to the extent, I would add a few more options to it. Basically, when financial institutions sign a trading agreement with the farmers at the time of harvesting, they can invite some other parties to the region where the crop is to be delivered, and these parties can be the buyers of the crop or buyer of the product. Now here, through the bidding and the bargaining process, the product can be sold at different places, and the financial institutions can possibly earn more profit as compared to the interest which they can earn in case of only loan transactions. This is one option. The other option is the farmer can also bid for his product, and to be on the safe side, the farmer should, based on his experience, calculate the quantity of the product which is to be produced through farming, and he should call for bid in his region. Now financial institutions, Islamic financial institutions from different parts of the world may send their representative to the farming community and give the highest possible bid. The highest possible bidder wins the bid, makes a payment on the spot, or promise to make the payment partly, fully, partly over there on the spot, and then rest of the payment after 3 days, 4 days. Obviously, the representative do not carry 100% amount with them, so they can make the arrangement when they go back to their office and transfer money to the accounts of the farmer. Now, what is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is, if there is one financial institution, there will be one price paid for the potential output. If there are more financial institutions and their representative, there will be sort of competition. In our society, in our economy, the farmers are most of the time exploited. Now, in this case, when there is competition, when the financial institutions play their role of competing with each other in offering different prices, and the farmer gets the competitive possible price, the highest possible competitive price, it is also good for the farmer. So his exploitation can be reduced. And when I say the farmer is generally exploited, obviously he is exploited by the buyers who buy their agriculture product, and sometimes these exploiters also include the government representatives who actually promise farmers to buy the product. When the product is ready, then because of the dishonesty of some of the government officials, the farmer does not receive the promised price, the price which is promised by the government of the country. Now, this exploitation can be minimized because government intervention will be minimized, and Islamic principles of marketing greatly support the private sector and greatly support the minimum possible intervention of the government, because government has so many other businesses to do. Therefore, here in this connection, if private sector, private financial institutions, private Islamic financial institutions can offer a good price to the farmer and his problem of financial constraint at the time of cultivation can be easily resolved. This issue, the constraints can be removed very easily, and the farmer will be earning and he will be satisfied with what he is earning at the competitive rate. But this system should be implemented, can be implemented with great care. What care should be done? There are chances that the financial institutions who win the bid, they resell further this bid to someone else after some time. So if a secondary market, the future market over future market is created, then there are chances of rising inflation in the economy, rising prices of the agriculture products in the country, and the cost of living is likely to increase. Obviously, in order to control this trend, some institutional arrangement can be done. Again, for this purpose, proper monitoring system, proper auditing system on behalf of the government, some institutional arrangement can be done on behalf of the government in order to avoid this situation, because then a speculation will start, and this speculation raise the price of the agriculture products, raising the inflation in the economy and raising the cost of living in the economy. This practice can be controlled, obviously. So, there are good things associated with Salam, but if the Salam as a mode of finance, if it is not used with great care, it may create trouble and it may create activities which might be quite similar to conventional activities being against Islamic principles of finance. Dear students, we are discussing Salam as a mode of financing. So, financial institutions may sell it through a parallel contract of Salam for the same date of delivery to someone else, but it should not be conditional. The two contracts should not be interlinked in documentation in the agreement, because this will create buy alal buy and the transaction over transaction, which is not allowed in Islam. It should be the contract between A and B separately, and the contract between B and C separately. Now A is the financial institution who is going to buy from B. B is the financial institution, the bank, who is going to buy from A, and A will deliver the product to B after some time, say in 6 months period or in 1 year period, and then B, expecting the delivery of the product on time, signs a separate agreement with C to deliver this product, and B again is receiving the price from C. Now in this contract, the contract of AB should be totally different from B and C, because if all these contracts are interlinked, and in the contract of B and C it is mentioned that if A supplies then this would happen, if A does not supply then this would happen. Suppose in this agreement if one of the parties fails to deliver the product on time, the better solution, the better way out is that the product should be purchased from some other source and handed over to the buyer who has already paid the price. So the seller who promised to sell or who promised to make the product available after 6 months or after a certain time period, and he fails to supply, then he should buy the same product with similar specification, with the same quantity, with the same size of the product, and hand over this product to the buyer. This way the issue can be resolved and there is no harm in it. That is why we say the buying and the selling contracts of the financial institutions should be independent of each other. Now here one more thing which should be avoided under the laws of Salam, under the regulations and the principles of Salam. Buying back, this is a curse, buying back. In our society, if by Salam, if the Salam contract, if the Salam financing agreement is with the condition that the financial institution will buy the product on the date when it is delivered to the financial institution, and at the same time the person who has paid the price will buy it back. I repeat it. If in the buyer Salam B has promised to buy the product from A with the condition that after purchasing the other party will buy it back, this is not allowed. And why this buyback arrangement is done? Generally the buyback arrangement is done with differential of price in order to benefit from the price differential. This is not allowed in Islamic framework. The buying back contract is not allowed. Dear students, till here it's all about the Salam and Salam arrangement, Salam agreement, and Salam as a mode of finance. We discussed what is Salam. So Salam is a trading agreement wherein the price is paid, price of the product is paid in advance, and the product is delivered in future time, which is clearly mentioned in the contract between the buyer and the seller, with certain specification, with certain size, with certain weight, and the substance, the material, everything is made clear, and it is clearly, all these things are clearly documented. And salam is useful. We discussed different conditions associated with salam, and salam is useful mode of finance. It can be used in future trade agreements, wherein particularly the country like Pakistan, where farmers are totally dependent on the loans from financial institutions, agriculture development of Pakistan, salam can provide a better alternative wherein the farmers can receive a good price for their product, and this will not only resolve their issue of financial constraint, but they will be earning good amount in their exploitation, which is generally happening in Pakistani society. It might be existing in some other parts of the world, but in Pakistan this is normal practice that the farmers are exploited, particularly when the government fixes the price of certain agriculture product, but the actual buyers of these products, they exploit farmers by delaying tax, by not buying the product on time, and compelling farmers to reduce the price, even the price which is less than the government fixed price. So this exploitation can be avoided if the salam arrangement can be made. Now we will move on to the other mode of finance, which is istisna. Istisna it is not salam, of course, but it can be a similar type of trade agreement. In istisna, it is basically associated with the practice to order manufacturing of a specific commodity for the purchaser, for which it is necessary for the validity of istisna that the price is fixed with the consent of the two parties. After the manufacturer has started work, the contract cannot be cancelled unilaterally. So basically, istisna is a contract wherein a price is agreed between the two parties. One is manufacturer of the product. For example, a carpenter. He has his material, wood, tools, and the buyer of furniture clearly specifies as to the type of furniture, services associated with the furniture, the accessories associated, the facility, and the other things, maybe foam, maybe leather, maybe cloth, or some other material which is used in the manufacturing of furniture. Now the carpenter receives orders for the manufacturing of the product, and a price is agreed between the two parties. Carpenter starts manufacturing it. Now once the carpenter starts manufacturing it, the agreement cannot be cancelled, because the order has been put in practice and the manufacturing has been started, and the manufacturer has incurred some cost in purchasing raw material and the input. What is the difference between istisna and salam? The product of istisna is always an item which needs manufacturing, while salam can be effected on any other type of commodity as well, no matter it needs manufacturing or not. So salam can be associated with the ready-made product, but the istisna, for istisna, as is the obvious from name, In istisna, the manufacturing is part of the agreement and the good is to be manufactured. Number 2, it is necessary for salam that the price is paid in full in advance, while it is not necessary in istisna. In istisna, since the manufacturing has started and the manufacturer can demand 50% of the price in advance because he wants to buy some material, some raw material, some input which are used in the manufacturing and the preparation of the product, and the remaining 50% can be received while the product is ready. The contract of salam, once effected, cannot be cancelled unilaterally, while the contract of istisna can be cancelled before the manufacturing starts work. Yeah, one provision is available in case of istisna. If the manufacturer has not yet started working on the product, making of the product, this agreement can be cancelled with the consent of the two parties. Then the time of delivery is an essential part of the sale in salam. You remember we discussed in detail that in case of salam, the timely delivery of the product is essential component of the agreement, while it is not necessary in istisna, because the delivery time, that the time of delivery is fixed, because manufacturing sometimes may take 2-3 more days in case of furniture due to different reasons, due to maybe the furniture expert face the consequences, face the circumstances where he remains unable to complete the manufacturing of furniture. For example, his workers cannot reach due to certain circumstances. For example, due to strikes. Mostly in Pakistan, people who work in Islamabad, if there are strikes, if there is some problem, issue, political issue, or some ethnic issue, mostly workers come from Rawalpindi. So they are stuck as a consequence of the strikes or the political disputes or issues. And what happens? All the work is stopped in Islamabad. So under these circumstances, the product may get delayed, the manufacturing process may get delayed, and the good may not be completed on time. Therefore, istisna basically is associated with the provision that the product may not be delivered on time. So time may be flexible here, but not unlimited time. No unlimited time can be given to the manufacturer. Obviously, given all these circumstances, the manufacturer is well acquainted with, well informed as to how much with certain standard deviation from the mean can be added or subtracted while manufacturing this furniture which he is working on. If the material is provided by the customer and the manufacturer is required to use his labor and skill only, the transaction is not then istisna. In this case, it will be a transaction of ijara, whereby the services of a person are hired for a specified fee paid to him. Similarly, after manufacturing, the product can be or cannot be accepted if not in conformity with the specified features. ये है हमारे उसमें सिस्टम के अंदर ये प्रॉब्लम्स मैंने पहले भी कई दफ़ा जिक्र किया कि हैं लोग वादे की पाबंदी नहीं करते, लोग छोटी छोटी कॉस्ट को बचाने के लिए कस्टमर के साथ धोखा करते हैं, जो कि ना सिर्फ انیتھیکل ہے بلکہ اسلامک پرنسپلز آف فائنانس کے بھی خلاف ہے. تو ان چیزوں کا خاص خیال رکھنا چاہیے کہ جب کوئی ٹرانزیکشن ہو چکی ہے اور جس میں اسپیسیفیکیشن بڑی کلیئرلی بتا دی گئی ہیں تو پھر ان کی پابندی لازم ہے. اور اگر کوئی پابندی نہیں کرے گا، میں ایک بات کہتا ہوں کہ فیتھ، مذہب ٹھیک ہے، ایک بہت امپورٹنٹ چیز ہے، لیکن اس مینوفیکچرر کا، اس وینڈر کا جو فیم اور نیم ہے، کیا وہ مارکیٹ میں کمپٹیشن کے قابل رہتا ہے؟ اس وینڈر اور اس مینوفیکچرر کے مقابلے میں جو کہ نہایت ایمانداری سے کام کرتا ہے، اب وعدہ خلافی نہیں کرتا. آپ دیکھیں ٹیلر ہے، ٹیلر کو ہم کپڑا دیتے ہیں، اس سے کام کرواتے ہیں اور اس کی سروسز کے اس کو چارجز دیتے ہیں، اجرت دیتے ہیں. تو یہ ایک قسم کا اجارہ ٹائپ یہ چیز ہو جاتی ہے. یہ استثناء نہیں ہوگا. استثناء کے لیے یہ ضروری ہے کہ وہ ان پٹ اپنا استعمال کرے. اب یہاں دیکھیں ٹیلر کی میں نے مثال دی کہ کیا مارکیٹ میں ایسے ٹیلر بدنام نہیں ہیں اور لوگ ان سے اوائڈ کرنے کی کوشش نہیں کرتے، کسی اور ٹیلر کے پاس جانے کی کوشش نہیں کرتے کہ جو وعدے کی پابندی کرتا ہو اور جو ٹائم پر ان کو کپڑے سی کر دے دے. بہرحال یہ بہت ہی امپورٹنٹ چیزیں ہیں. بزنس کے اندر آنیسٹی ایک گڈ فیم کو جنم دیتی ہے اور یہ گڈ فیم ایک گڈ نیم کو ڈیولپ کرتا ہے اور گڈ نیم مارکیٹ میں کنزیومر لائلٹی کو جنم دیتا ہے اور کنزیومر لائلٹی ڈیفینیٹلی ایک لانگ ٹرم بزنس سروائیول کے لیے بہت ضروری ہے. انہی الفاظ کے ساتھ لیکچر کو سم اپ کروں گا. ہم نے ڈیئر اسٹوڈنٹس ہم نے ڈسکس کیا آج کے لیکچر میں کہ سلم اور استثناء کیا ہیں، پھر ہم نے ان سے ایسوسیٹڈ ٹرمز اینڈ کنڈیشنز کیا ہیں، ان کی پابندی کتنی لازمی ہے، ان کی پریکٹیکل امپورٹنس کیا ہے، یہ ہم نے ڈسکس کیا. اور یہ میں نے بتایا کہ سلم اور استثناء میں بنیادی فرق کیا ہے. اس کے ساتھ ساتھ میں نے یہ بھی ڈسکس کیا کہ سلم اور اجارہ میں کیا فرق ہے. اس کے ساتھ ہی میں نے یہ بتایا کہ سلم خاص طور پہ اور استثناء بھی ان جنرل کس طریقے سے پاکستان کی مینوفیکچرنگ ایکٹیویٹیز میں اور ٹریڈنگ ایکٹیویٹیز میں کتنا اہم رول پلے کر سکتے ہیں اور ہم کس طریقے سے ان الٹرنیٹیو موڈز آف فائنانس کو امپلیمنٹ کر کے اپنے مانیٹری سسٹم کو ریئل سسٹم کی طرف ٹرانسفارم کر سکتے ہیں. اور یہ ایسا ایک ریئل سسٹم جس میں مانیٹری اور ریئل سیکٹر کے درمیان ایک بیلنسڈ سچویشن پیدا ہو اور ہمیں اننیسیسریلی جو پرائسز ہائیک نظر آتا ہے اس پرائس ہائیک سے ہم بچ سکیں اور مہنگائی کے طوفان سے اجتناب کر سکتے ہیں. انہی الفاظ کے ساتھ میں آپ کا شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں کہ آپ نے مجھے برداشت کیا، لیکچر سنا. امید ہے آپ کو سمجھ آیا ہوگا. آپ اس کو ریپیٹ کر کے سنیں اور سمجھنے کی کوشش کریں کیونکہ اسلامک موڈز آف فائنانس یقیناً بہت سارے اکنامک اور فائنانشیل ایشوز کو سالو کرنے میں مددگار ثابت ہوتے ہیں. اللہ حافظ ڈیئر اسٹوڈنٹس. اگلے لیکچر میں پھر ملاقات ہوگی انشاءاللہ نئے ٹاپک کے ساتھ اور اس میں سے جو کچھ چیزیں رہ گئی ہیں ان کو کور کرنے کی کوشش کریں گے، ان کا احاطہ کرنے کی کوشش کریں گے. خدا حافظ. See you in the next lecture.